Even before ERI officially began, Tim and I both cared a lot about helping pro-life people to think well and take pro-choice arguments seriously. We don't think every single pro-choice argument is a good argument or something like that. There's a lot of really bad arguments on both sides. But a concern that we have as far as persuasiveness is good. Like, you're not going to be very persuasive if you're not able to recognize these stronger arguments for what they are. If you're constantly, even in your mind, straw-manning strong pro-choice arguments into weak ones. And so we just wanted to help pro-life people to understand what are the good pro-choice arguments, the stronger pro-choice arguments, so we can respond to them well and not respond to them badly. And so fairly quickly after we finally released the De facto Guardian paper that Tim and I wrote with Steve and a few other people, and I had released a speech audio, I wrote a quick kind of follow-up blog post called 2 Bad ProLife Responses to Bodily Rights Arguments. There are some good pro-life responses to bodily rights arguments for abortion. These 2 rejoinders don't belong on that list. I am convinced that most pro-abortion choice advocates who go beyond basic rhetoric and slogans are partially grounding their position in some form of bodily autonomy arguments. If you're somewhat new to arguments for abortion rights that admit for sake of argument that the unborn is a fully valuable person, please listen to the speech I gave at UCLA last month explaining them as well as offering some refutations. So I'll post a link in the show notes. I think it's an updated speech. I think that was like the first time that I put out a recording of a bodily rights speech. I think we've got an updated one, and probably I'm going to re-record this speech again sometime this year, because we've got even some new things that we say now that aren't represented in earlier speeches. But anyway, I go on to say, let me offer a brief summary of bodily rights arguments before I get into the faulty pro-life responses. Most pro-choice arguments either assume that the unborn are not valuable human beings, like what about poverty, what if she will lose her scholarship, or they argue that the unborn are not valuable human beings. It's not viable yet, it's not sentient yet, it can't feel pain yet. But there's a third category of pro-choice arguments that admit, at least for the sake of argument, that the unborn are valuable human beings. Yet the mother should still have the right to kill them because of her bodily autonomy. Her view is that if it's in her body, she has the right to kill it, or at least take whatever measure is necessary to refuse to have her body used as life support. I've spoken on bodily rights arguments a lot, especially after helping write the De facto Guardian paper. During Q&A, someone will often ask about a potential pro-life response that I didn't include in the speech. Here's one I've heard several times in that context, and I've seen pro-lifers use it in blog posts as well. No woman has an abortion because she's trying to protect her right to bodily autonomy. According to the Alan Guttmacher Institute's 2005 survey of more than 1,200 abortion patients, these were the most common reasons that women chose abortion. And then I have a link to the full graph. I agree that the women who took this survey didn't report that their natural right to bodily integrity was the primary reason they chose abortion, but that's irrelevant. First of all, the Guttmacher survey didn't have an option for "I want to maintain control over my body." Secondly, even if that's not at all a part of a woman's decision-making process, that doesn't mean that bodily autonomy arguments fail to justify abortion being legal. If bodily rights arguments succeed, then it doesn't really matter why a woman decides to have an abortion, because it's justified. This is especially true if the sovereign zone argument is correct. In that case, taking thalidomide to intentionally deform or hiring an abortionist to torture a baby to death would be justified, as Timothy Brahm shows in this brilliant piece, and we'll link to that piece as well. In other words, there can be a difference between why abortion is morally justified and why a particular woman would decide to choose abortion. Here's another bad pro-life response. It is usually explained by someone when they hear Judith Jarvis Thomson's violinist story or people seeds analogy for the first time. Well, that's just weird. Thought experiments like Thomson's violinist are meant to test our intuitions and help us determine things like whether or not a certain action is morally justifiable. Thought experiments about pregnancy will almost always be weird. Why? Because pregnancy is weird. There's nothing else in our universe that's like pregnancy. So you end up with these bizarre stories about people being hooked up to different body parts. It's not just pro-choice thought experiments that are weird either. There are pro-life thought experiments that are weirder than the violinist story, and they are very helpful. You don't want to ban all bizarre thought experiments from your conversations because, frankly, you should probably be using them sometimes. If you want to hear some of the thought experiments I'm referring to that will help you respond persuasively to bodily rights arguments, download this speech I gave at UCLA.